So the New York Times recently noted that the Trump era has been a gold mine for political networks and publications alike. They also predict that cable outlets like MSNBC face the end now of the Trump bump.
So back to talk about it, Democratic strategist and founding partner of Northern Star Strategies, Michael Starr Hopkins, and White House reporter for Real Clear Politics, Philip Wegman. Good to see you guys. How are you?
Great to see you guys.
All right, so Phil, let me start with you because you're a White House correspondent and you're going to be facing this transition there over at the White House. How do you think things are going to change? I was used to be also a White House correspondent as well. We kind of came up in the golden age where you can just scream things at officials. Something tells me that behavior is going to change a little bit in the Biden era. What do you think?
Well, I haven't gotten the bulletin just yet from the White House Correspondents Association on what kind of conduct was acceptable under the Trump administration and what's not under the Biden administration. But look, let's not kid ourselves. There's going to be a transition period. It's not going to be seen as heroic to shout questions at the incoming press secretary, to shout questions out of turn, and to generally misbehave. I mean, we just know that as a matter of fact. I think part of that is the result of, an incoming administration that's going to be less dramatic. And I think that, frankly, that's going to be the result of more reporters who cover the White House who are ideologically in line with the incoming president. I think it's up to reporters to find a way to be aggressive, but also polite and keep the pressure on. Because just because someone isn't outrageous doesn't mean that, newsworthy things that are big and significant aren't happening behind the scenes.
Michael, let's talk about how CNN and MSNBC are likely to approach the Trump era. After 2016, there were some TV news executives who went out and basically admitted, you know what, he was great for ratings and that's why we put him on so much. And then, whoa, what happened? He ended up in the White House. They didn't really change their approach. They just went from this is Matt Taibbi's thing, 1 million hours of Trump to 1 million hours of Trump is bad. With him gone, how are they going to adjust? Do you think they're going to see a massive ratings decline? And then over on MSNBC in particular, network where I used to work and where you do appearances, do you think that they're going to be remotely critical of the Biden administration, or is it going to just continue to be basically Democratic Party cheerleading?
Well, let me start out by saying I think whoever is the out of opposition, or rather the out of control party, is the one that always does well in terms of cable news. So Fox will do well when Democrats are in power, and MSNBC will do well when Republicans are in power. I think that'll be true no matter what. Now, I think that the thing that really changes the game is that Trump's not going anywhere. He may not be in the White House, but now he actually has more time to do TV, more time to suck up all the oxygen. So I think he, in and of himself, will be a ratings boom that we haven't experienced.
So do you think MSNBC and CNN are basically going to stay sort of all in on their Trump strategy, given that I agree with you, he's not going anywhere. He may run for president again in 2024. He may start a PAC that's been reported, may do his own media venture. So do you think they'll just sort of continue that trajectory that has worked very well for them from a business perspective?
I do. I mean, Trump makes a good villain, and we all know that outrage porn sells. And so corporate media is in the business of trying to boost ratings and trying to create the new storyline. And Trump is the gift that keeps giving when it comes to storylines. Well,
you're certainly right about that. Phil, let me get you in here as well, which is that in terms of coverage, I mean, we both kind of came up also during the Obama era, so we're kind of used to this dynamic as well, whereas it seems that a lot of media norms and other things were broken in the Trump era, and not just outside of the White House Correspondents Association, but much broader. Do you think that there is any going back from that? I mean, are we going to see an outright regression just back to what the Obama era was? I recall, of course, Jeff Zeleny, who then worked at the New York Times, asking what enchanted Obama most his first month in the White House. I mean, is that the type of thing that we're going to see there?
Well, first of all, I want to say that if there's a press conference with Trump before the end, and if I get my seat back because of the COVID restrictions, I want to read that question line for line and just see what happens. I'm sure
Brian
that would go over really
aneurysm.
Well. Yeah. Look, I mean, things are different, I think, because of the nature of the current president and the incoming president. It's going to be a different can of worms. You're probably not going to have as many people leaking, and you're probably not going to have a president who wants to be in front of the cameras as much. I mean, we've seen this on the campaign trail with Biden already. So it's going to require a different kind of skill set to figure out what's going on. But I think that, while it's true that Trump has been good for the news business, I think sometimes we don't realize how good he was. Whether or not you loved him or hated him, he was accessible. If you looked at Obama, by contrast, he walked to Marine One and he didn't say anything. When he had world leaders in the Oval Office, he brought the photographers in for a photo op, didn't say anything, sent them out, occasionally made appearances in the press briefing room. But for the most part, Obama wanted to follow a script, and that was smart. He's a good politician. He controls the message. It got so bad during the Obama years that you had journalists actually lodging protests that they didn't get a chance to see him, that they didn't get a chance to photograph him. And it's been the complete opposite with Trump. It's been overload. So I think that the White House might go back to being pretty sleepy.
Yeah. Michael, how do you think that Fox News is going to react? If Trump, in fact, does set up this sort of like rival news network, some of the reporting is that he truly is incredibly angry with them or the call in Arizona, but also that they haven't been as slavishly, I guess, kissing his feet as he wanted during his administration. Do you think that that's a real problem for Fox? Because they've been the hegemon. Like, they haven't really had a competing power center in the conservative media ecosystem. How do you think that plays out?
Look, I mean, Fox is not just the most powerful network in conservative media, but I would argue Fox is the most powerful network in all of media. What they're able to do, the message they're able to push, the way they're able to dominate kind of the lexicon in terms of conservative media is frankly amazing. And I wish Democrats had something like it. But, it's going to be interesting to see what Fox does, because you've had, OANN and you've had Newsmax and all these kind of wannabes pop up, but nothing's been able to really capture the magic that Fox has done. And so, I think it's going to be interesting. Donald Trump obviously would bring a huge audience, but the mechanisms of Fox and everything that they have, I don't know if you can just easily replicate that right now.
What do you think, Philip?
I think that first and foremost, Fox not only has a established group of commentary shows, they also have a backbone of fantastic journalists. I mean, the Brett Baiers, Martha McCallum, and Chris Wallace. I think that those folks create the foundation for some of the Tucker Carlson's and other stellar commentary over there. I don't think that after 4 boom years with Trump, when Fox has an opportunity to lob some bombs at a Democratic administration, that that talent is going to look around and say to themselves, I'm going to leave here and go to a competitor who has a questionable business record. I mean, I think that things are good at Fox, and they're probably going to stay at Fox for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. All right, guys, we appreciate you joining us. It's a very interesting topic. Thank you.
Great to see you guys.
Thank you.
And one more Rising for you after this.